A writer could tell you she was sad, and you'd know the fact. But what if they wrote, "Grief sat on her chest like a stone, cold, heavy, impossible to shift." Now you don't just know it, you feel it, the weight, the cold. That's the crucial difference between describing an emotion and truly representing it. Language isn't a transparent window. It's an emotional architecture deliberately built to make us experience what characters do. The main tools are sensory. Imagery makes abstract feelings concrete. Think of the paradox. The silence rang louder than any scream, which evokes a specific, deafening anxiety. Or how a particular scent, like eucalyptus, can become a time machine, dragging a character back to a childhood summer, making us feel their nostalgia. Writers also control the emotional rhythm through syntax. When a character is panicked, the sentences become short, breathless, fragmented. "Run," she thought. "Run now. No time to think. Just move. Faster, faster." Heart hammering. The very structure of the language mimics the character's internal state, pulling our own pulse along with it. Even a single word choice carries immense weight. The difference between calling someone slender versus skinny shifts the entire emotional charge. One implies grace, the other suggests weakness. These aren't accidents, they are calculated choices. Every metaphor, every sound, every pause is designed to generate a specific response. So when we analyze a text, we're not just identifying techniques, we're acting as forensic architects, reverse engineering how an author built an entire emotional reality from nothing but words. Language doesn't just show us a feeling, it is the substance of the feeling itself.